Growing up, I had no idea what the word wealthy meant. See, I grew up in a house that cost $8,000. Like, my parents didn't have money. In fact, both of them filed bankruptcy twice. So I had no idea what it meant to be wealthy or to be rich.
I'm rich! I'm wealthy! Yahoo!
But as I've gotten older, after my career as a financial planner, having this YouTube channel and podcast, now I understand what it means to be wealthy. So now when I think of wealth, I think of net worth. And net worth is simply taking your assets, taking what you own, subtracting your debt or your liabilities, and what you have left over is your net worth. Now, for me growing up, like as I mentioned, I didn't understand what net worth was. Like, this wasn't anything that I was chasing. I thought it was more about what you drove, the kind of house that you lived in, or how much you made. Starting my career, net worth was not a goal. It wasn't even on my radar. For me, my level of success was how much am I making per year? And my first benchmark of success was to make $100,000 per year. My belief was like, man, when I make 100 grand per year, I've got it made. I am set. And the crazy thing was like, yeah, were things better when I was making $100,000 a year? Yeah, things were better, but they still weren't as gravy as I would thought. And when I started working with some clients, or actually didn't start working with them, they didn't become clients, but they were interested in becoming clients. And I'll never forget this, because this couple, husband and wife, 2 kids, they were living in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And they both were making around $250,000 per year. So combined, we're talking $500,000, $500,000 per year. They were in their early 40s, had goals and aspirations of retiring early. So whenever they came into the office, they brought in all of their statements. And keep in mind, they're making 500 grand per year. So when I looked at all of their bank statements, their investment accounts, and added everything up, their grand total was $17,000. That's right, you heard me. In their checking, their savings, their 401ks, didn't have any IRAs. All of their total cash plus investments was $17,000. They had a house that they owed a bunch of money on. They had cars, they had boats, they had jet skis. Their net worth was negative. I don't even know how bad it was, but it was like negative several $100,000. That was very eye-opening for me. And it started this journey of really asking myself, like, am I really saving enough? Am I investing the right way? Am I buying stuff that I shouldn't be buying? Am I wasting my money? Because I used to be that person that would go out and justify that I should go buy this and fill in the blank, whatever that is. And that's how I got into debt. Starting off my career as a financial advisor, I had a negative net worth. So meeting with people like this, starting to understand investing, starting to understand what it means to build wealth, that is when I finally understood the power and also the importance of knowing what your net worth is and also focusing on how you can grow it. So in this video, I want to break down how I was able to 10x my net worth in a very short amount of time. Right now I have a net worth in the 7 figures, closing in on 8 figures, and that's exciting for me. And it's somewhere that I never thought I could get to. When I think about the financial challenges that I had to overcome, I mean, it literally feels like a fairy tale or maybe a Pixar movie.
You mean you don't like me?
So how was I able to 10x my net worth in a short amount of time? Well, let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing that I had to do was I had to give up or surrender my broke mindset. And we all have this. Like, this is something I think we're just kind of born with. And you can check out the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. And she talks about the difference of a growth mindset versus a broke mindset. And quite simply, if you have a broke mindset, you believe that you are where you are, and that's never going to change. Like, I used to subscribe to the idea that my parents are broke, so therefore I'm going to be broke. Or I live in a small town, of 8,000 people, there aren't any millionaires here. There's no way I'll ever become a millionaire. Like, these are the internal scripts that through our parents, through our upbringing, just through different relationships that we start to believe and we accept as 100% absolute truth. And it doesn't have to be that way. So how did I escape this broke mindset? Well, for me, initially, it was reading books, exposing myself to different ways of thinking. And one of the first books that I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I love that book for so many reasons. And especially with my upbringing, I had a dad, my real dad, who had a broke mindset. And then I had my stepdad who had more of that growth mindset. And literally, like, when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it feels like I'm reading my autobiography, because there was a time earlier in my career where I had a very important decision to make. And I went to my dad and I went to my stepdad, and they both gave me two totally different pieces of advice. And had I followed my dad's advice with the broke mindset, I wouldn't have became a financial advisor, wouldn't have started my own business. I would not be recording this video or podcast right now. But instead, like, I took a risk. I ended up trying something, testing something out. And that is just one example of recognizing that the advice that was given to me was broke. It was not a growth mindset. And I've had a little fun with this whole broke mindset concept that I came up with my own term. So these are the type of people that you just want to disassociate yourself with. And these are the characteristics that you're looking for. And I've properly named them BUTTPEWs. Correct. BUTTPEW. So what is a BUTTPEW? So a BUTTPEW, first, they are broke, and not meaning like they're broke financially. That means that they are broke emotionally, broke mentally, and they're not going to challenge you. They think that they are the victim. They are stuck where they are, and that's never going to change. So they are broke. They are unfulfilled. They are not happy with their situation. They're not happy with their life, but even more importantly, they're not willing to do anything different. They are tire kickers. What does that mean? That means that they just waste your time. They sit there and they kick tires trying to decide, do I need to do this? I'm not sure. I don't know. And they just kind of hem-haw without ever really making a decision. They also are time suckers. They suck the life out of you. You want to avoid them. They are also pessimistic. Nothing's ever going to work out. Woe is me. Glass is always going to be half empty. They are excuse makers. Nothing is ever their fault. They never take ownership for anything, always want to point the finger at somebody else. And lastly, they are whiners. All they do is complain. Woe is me. I didn't get that raise. It's my boss's fault. They always single me out. Like, this is what a BUTTPEW is, right? These are them. These are the people that you want to remove yourself from. So the first thing was dropping the broke mindset. The second thing was stop buying liabilities. Basically, not buying anything that's not going to produce any sort of income, a dividend or interest payment. Now, does that mean like I stopped buying clothes altogether? No, that just meant that trying to understand what are the things I can afford, what are the things that I need, or what are the things that I want. And one of the things that I fell victim to, and I know that many of you struggle with this as well, it is the SJSP principle. Stop justifying your stupid purchases. I work really hard, therefore I deserve a new car, new clothes, go on this trip. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't reward yourself. I think we all should. Like, we all deserve to appreciate our hard work and to take time for ourselves. But when we start justifying all these stupid purchases and having debt by buying new outfits or new sneakers every other day, and somehow justifying to yourself that you deserve this, or it's not a lot of money, this is how you get yourself into trouble. Or I'll speak to myself. This is how I got myself into trouble, because I was justifying everything. And I typically justify it with what I just said. I work hard, or I'll find a way to make more so that I can pay for whatever this thing is. Now, the other part of that was not accepting what was the social norm. So for example, here in the US, everybody thinks or believes that they have to drive a new car. And even worse is that they have to have a new car every 5 to 6 years. And then we've all just accepted that car payments are a normal thing. Now for me, this was me in college, right? I firmly believe that once I graduated college, I got my first job, like I wanted to drive a BMW. I had never even been in a BMW before that. So there was like definitely this reward, like defining self-worth of me driving this 5 Series or whatever it's going to be. And luckily I had a college professor that gave me some wisdom that totally changed the way that I thought about cars and car payments. So when I graduated college, I didn't go out and buy a BMW. Actually didn't buy any car. I ended up inheriting my grandmother's 1998 Chevy Lumina. And I mean, this thing was a chick magnet, not even close. We're talking 4 doors, cassette player, champagne colored, alloy wheels. But here's the kicker, right? It was completely paid for. I had like 12,000 miles on it. I mean, it was brand new. Total grandma car though. Total grandma car. But because I drove that car for the first like 2.5 years of me being a financial advisor, that freed up enough cash where I could invest in my 401k, open up a Roth IRA. So that gave me the freedom to be able to start to invest. If not, if I fell into that trap of, oh, I need a brand new car because I need to look like I'm successful. Keep in mind that like I don't own this car. Like I have all this debt. I'm actually broke and barely make the payment, which a lot of people do. No, like that, I started down that path, but I had this car completely paid for and I had enough cash left over where I could start investing in myself. Which is a perfect segue into number 3, and that is investing. And not just investing, but investing over 20%. And I went the traditional route. Keep in mind, I came from the financial planning industry, so I was working at a brokerage firm. So I started with the 401k. It was one of the easiest things to do, came directly out of my paycheck. So I started putting money in the 401k, getting the match, all that good stuff. And then from there, I started investing into a Roth IRA. And I made a huge sacrifice. And maybe it didn't feel like much like a sacrifice, but when I looked at what my peers, what my friends were spending and blowing their money on, it felt like a sacrifice because like, well, I'm making a little bit of money. Like I should be able to go out and buy this or move into a nicer place because I was still renting. I had a house with 3 other dudes, 3 other buddies, and my fiance, girlfriend at the time, I think. We actually shared the master suite. So there's 5 of us. Felt like the real world, like all over again. But once again, all this allowed me to invest more than 20%. And I didn't really even understand investing. Yes, I think at the time it wasn't, we'll say I was a financial planner, or at least like an intern. I was working there, but I was still learning what investing really was. You know, trading stocks, buying mutual funds, ETFs. And I didn't really understand how it worked, but I still began investing. Like I bought some crappy mutual funds and started to learn how you can do research on mutual funds. ETFs weren't as big back then. Like I'm kind of dating myself here, but I think you get the idea. So just starting to do research on different mutual funds and different investment strategies. And then also looking at different stocks, and start exploring stock trading. But this was a huge one for me. But also, like what I recognize, it's not so much the fact, like my wealth wasn't built on those investments. The wealth was built because I took the knowledge and the experience and all of the failures of buying and picking certain investments, but then also applying that to best business practices, learning to take risks on different things and understanding like what is within my scope, my expertise, like what I'm comfortable with, what my wife, fiance, girlfriend at the time was comfortable with, and making sure that I was not putting myself and my family into a situation that could have just bankrupted us. And I know I say this a lot on the channel. It's like, but I get so frustrated, upset when I see people that want to build wealth. They want to change their situation, but they're not willing to invest anything. And I keep saying this time and time again. I don't care where you start. I don't care if it's Robinhood or M1 Finance or Fundrise or Coinbase or Celsius. Like, I don't care where you start. All I care is that you do. And I'm not asking just to invest your entire life savings on whatever it is. All I'm asking you to do is to take that giant first step, take that leap into crossing over from I'm thinking about investing, I want to change my situation, to actually doing something, taking that first step. Because once you do, that begins a whole new phase of learning. And there are just so many things that you don't uncover until you're willing to take a risk and put yourself out there. So number 3, investing 20% or more. And you see all these FIRE people, right? The Financial Independent Retire Early community. I mean, they're advocating investing 50%, 60 or 70%, which might sound crazy to you. I know it's one of those things that's hard for me to understand, but if you are passionate and you are super motivated and you just don't want to work for the rest of your life, then are you willing to do what it takes? So for me, it was sacrificing or being comfortable investing 20%, which meant that I had to cut back on other areas. So that is number 3. Moving on to number 4 was redefining what investing is. This took some time, and I don't know why it took me so long. I don't know if I'm stubborn or just stupid or whatever, but for me, and this was being a finance major, being in the financial services industry, where I drank the Kool-Aid that said, investing is mutual funds, investing is the stock market, investing is ETFs, your 401ks and IRAs. And that's what I did. And I did that for the longest time. And, going back to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like I read that book and it started to challenge the way that I looked at investing, meaning that there are other ways that I can make money. I don't think I was born, with the entrepreneur spirit. And maybe it was just dormant for a while. And then finally, reading a book, taking a few chances, all of a sudden it came out. But along the way, like I became an entrepreneur, trial and error, had a lot of failures, which that was the tuition, right? That was me learning how to do it right the next time. That's what all those lessons were. So redefining what investing is was recognizing that investing isn't just all the things I've talked about. Investing was investing in myself through coaching programs, through books, through podcasts, through mastermind groups, through mentorship, through online courses, through my business, whether that be hiring somebody, investing into personnel with the online business, investing into the blog by doing a website redesign, or investing into SEO, somebody that can show me what I don't know. I think there were several times like I would hire somebody to do an SEO screen of my site and to give me their diagnosis on things that I could improve. Now, all the things I just mentioned, I refer to them as income accelerators. So when I think of podcasts, books, a coaching program, mentorship, going to a conference, paying somebody for consulting to give you feedback, to pick their brain, but willing to spend money on that. These are all different ways that you can invest in yourself. And all these different ways, not all these different ways, but essentially what you're doing is time hacking. You're paying somebody to tell you what they did and all of the mistakes. When you're hiring somebody for coaching or mentorship, or maybe it's a mastermind group, basically what you're doing is like you're getting, it's like getting the DeLorean and you get to bypass all of the junk, all of the headaches. You got to find the right person, right? You got to find the right person. But when you start doing your homework and start doing your research and you find somebody that has achieved a level of success that you want to emulate, like you like their business, you like their business model, you like the way that they live their life, if you have the ability to pay them, whatever that amount may be, hopefully you can afford it. But if they're willing to give you a bit of their time for a small fee, that could save you hours upon hours. And I think one of the biggest breakthroughs I had of this, and there were quite a few, but I'll give you one that was a smaller scale. a smaller scale breakthrough. But got to give a shout out, Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Work Week. And in his book, he shared a story about somebody hiring their first virtual assistant. And when I read that, I was like, wow, like that's a thing. And I just started racking my brain on, man, like what could I outsource? Like, what could I delegate? Like, what am I doing right now that I don't want to do anymore? And this is years ago, but I remember when I had my blog just starting out, every single blog post that I published had to have a good image, just to really make that blog post stand out. And literally I would spend, I tallied, it was about 4 hours per week. Perfect, right? 4 hours per week, 4-hour work week. But I've tallied, I was spending about 4 hours a week trying to find the best picture for every blog post. And it was this activity that I didn't even like. Like I didn't like it, but it felt like it was something that I had to do. So then after reading 4-Hour Work Week, I think I went to Upwork at the time, which is like a freelancer website where you can try to find somebody to fit a certain trade or activity. And I ended up finding a virtual assistant. She was in the Philippines. And for 4 hours a week, I was paying her, I think it was like $5 an hour to find the same type of images that I was using for my blog post. So I ended up paying like $20 a week, but I got back 4 hours of time that I got to spend the way that I wanted. Now, whether that was doing stuff in the business that would make me more money, which was like meeting with clients, recording videos, writing blog posts, etc., or it was time back that I got to spend with my family. But it was those type of activities, which could be defined as expenses. But the truth is, for me, they were investments. Like me investing, that $20 a week into this virtual assistant, like gave me back so much more time. Now, these are the types of things that are a little bit more difficult to track the ROI. What is the return on investment? But seeing the time that it freed up, and not only that, but it was like this weight, like I was free. I didn't have to do this anymore. When I got to spend more time doing the things that I love, I got more energy because of it. I was excited to do more of that. And that led to new activities and a lot more synergy, working with different people and partnerships. And I mean, the list goes on and on. But this really allowed me to start investing into my online business, into my blog, and then recognizing that $8,000 for a website redesign, which is how much I spent on my first major redesign. I forgot when this was. This was years ago. But that was a huge amount of money. And it just like, I couldn't even comprehend that, because prior to that, all I'd bought was like a $50 WordPress theme and paid somebody $200 to create a fancy header. Like that's all I'd really spent on website design. So to drop $8,000, like that sounded like a huge cost. But I leaned into some others. I was in a mastermind group, got some guidance from them and recognized like it was worth it. Like the revenue was there, we could afford it. And, the hope was that if we do this, we're going to make more money, because we'll be able to convert more traffic, we'll get more traffic. I mean, these are all the hopes. So I made that investment, did the website redesign, and within literally like, I think it was, I'll say 3 months. I think it was less than that. But within 3 months, I mean, not only did I make that $8,000 back, but I mean, we made it back like 3 or 4x. It was one of the best investments I've ever made. And you could add so many other items to the list of hiring certain individuals, paying for different coaching programs, paying for different mastermind retreats. I mean, there's so many things like that I invested in, where it was either knowledge or experience. It wasn't your traditional stocks and bonds and mutual funds, IRAs, 401ks, but I learned so much in how to approach my business and the things that I should be focusing on and the things that I need to drop. So much. Like I could probably spend the next 45 minutes, no, probably longer actually, talking about all these different things, but redefining what investing is, or what an investment is. Like that was crucial for me, and just such a huge contribution that allowed me to 10x my net worth. Because one of the funny things right now, like when I look at my net worth, coming from the traditional financial planning, financial services space, you would think that my stocks, my mutual funds, like all of that would be a larger representation of my net worth. And in reality, it isn't. Like, it is the business, it is the valuation of the online business and also the business that I sold. Like, that is where a good chunk of my net worth is. Now, yes, I have the stocks and I have the cryptocurrency and I have all that stuff and the house. Like, we have all that. And that is also part of our net worth. But if it wasn't redefining what an investment was or what investing is, the net worth would not be where it is today. Now, if you have no idea what your net worth is and you want to find an easy way to find that out, check out Personal Capital. It is a free online resource that allows you to sync up all your different investment accounts, your bank accounts if you want, and it will show you what your net worth is. And they give you a lot of other cool tools on top of that. Completely free. The only catch is that if you do sign up, they will try to get you to invest with them. So if that is the case, all you gotta do is ignore those phone calls. Don't take those calls, but I love the tool. It is something that I have used for a number of years, and it's one of the coolest free tools that exists on the web. And they will show you what your net worth is. If you don't know, you will know very shortly. All you gotta do is use the link in the description, sign up, and you'll find out. All right, y'all, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope that you are looking to grow your net worth and begin the steps of not just 10xing it. Eventually we can all 100x if we start doing it right. All right, y'all, until next time, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. Until next time, peace.